Back again with another YouTube video. It's your boy Uriah G. Today we're going to react to 10 best WWE matches of 1998. Let's get right into the video. Alright, we have a little advertisement to start off.
In the story of the Monday Night Wars, 1998 marks the year that WWE assumed control of the race. They would still fall behind Nitro every now and again, but for the most part, this was the year they asserted themselves as the dominant force in American wrestling. But how did they do this, you ask? Why, through compelling heroes, dastardly villains, and ladies in their underwear, of course. Oh, and some good wrestling matches here and there too, I guess. I
think the last video I did of this was 2000. I didn't do 1999. I was going to, but yeah, we're doing 98.
I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best WWE matches of 1998. Join us. Number 10, Ken Shamrock vs. Owen Hart at SummerSlam. WWE have come up with many great gimmick matches over the years. The Royal Rumble, Hell in a Cell, TLC, Eye for an Eye. Wait, no, ignore that last one. One set of special rules that often gets forgotten about is the one that was made specifically for a man with a real-life pedigree in MMA, Ken Shamrock's Lion's Den match. The first of the two...
Like I stated in the other video, you cannot forget Ken Shamrock has different style fighting experience, especially in MMA. You know, he did like kickboxing or some other type of fighting style.
The Lion's Den matches took place at SummerSlam 98 and pitted Kenny Sham against his fierce rival at the time, Owen Hart. Hart had beaten Shamrock in his own speciality dungeon match the month before, so now it was time to see if he could hang in Ken's world. Spoiler, he couldn't. The fight, which took place inside a big octagon-style cage outside of the ring, was unlike anything WWE had ever tried before. As well as the usual strikes and submissions you see in UFC-style wrestling, both performers utilized the cage to great effect, chucking each other into it and doing cool flips off the side like they just discovered parkour videos on YouTube. Shamrock won by forcing the Blackheart to submit, and whilst this match won't be for everyone, it was
well, of course I've never seen this match. Have you guys seen this?
Certainly a unique experiment. Number 9, The Rock vs. Ken Shamrock vs. Mankind at Breakdown in Your House. 1 month on from defeating Owen inside one type of structure, Shamrock took part in another match inside 4 sides of steel, although this one was just a regular cage. Boring. He would be joined by both Mankind and The Rock in a rare 3-way cage outing with a lot of history at play between the trio. Vince McMahon didn't want any of these guys helping Steve Austin in the main event, hence why a tantalizing world title shot was attached as the winner's prize. The match, which happened at Breakdown in Your House, was carnage from the get-go, as you might expect from 3 very angry blokes locked inside a metal box. Shamrock was slapping on submissions all over the shop, whilst the devious Mankind switched allegiances depending on who was in charge at any given moment. Ultimately, though, this was a platform to get The Rock over. A double people's elbow spot sent the crowd into a frenzy as their new favourite would go on to win the bout by pinning Shamrock mere moments before Mankind escaped the cage. I get the feeling those two will be meeting again later in this list. Number 8, Mick Foley vs. Terry Funk on Raw. Terry Funk and his hardcore son Mick...
Is this like Mick Foley's 3rd or 2nd, 4th time popping up on this list? Because I know on the 1999 one, he was on that one too.
Foley were dangerous enough on their own, but when they were put together, it was a practically world-ending event. They had famously been involved in a match where the ring exploded in Japan, and whilst their one and only televised singles meeting in
The ring exploded?
WWE wasn't that crazy, it still got pretty vicious. With Pat Patterson as special guest referee, Mankind and Chainsaw Charlie ditched their federation names and fought as themselves in this no DQ match from the May 4th, 1998 episode of Raw. Foley was the current number 1 contender to the world title, so took the opportunity to prove to everybody that he was top guy material by beating the living daylights out of his good friend and mentor. Naturally, Funk and Foley didn't stay within the confines of the ring, brawling outside of the ropes and into the concession stand, where the Funker hit an incredible moonsault on Mick and some poor extra playing a vendor. At least I hope they were an extra. Foley might have ended up winning dominantly with a pile driver, but this was a fantastic display of what made these...
Because I know them two, they were a tag team. They had a tag team match for the tag titles, I think, at WrestleMania 14 or 13.
Two amongst the most unique wrestlers of all time. Number 7, The Rock vs. Mankind at Survivor Series. After it was left vacant for a month and a half, WWE decided they should probably crown a new world champion. This resulted in the Deadly Games tournament at Survivor Series 1998, which came down to Vince McMahon's personal choice of Mankind and fast-rising people's favorite, The Rock. Surely this would be where Rocky would win the big one to the ovation of the crowd. Well, one of those things happened. After a grueling battle with his mask-wearing enemy, Rock clamped on a sharpshooter and, to the surprise of everyone, was declared the winner without Mankind actually tapping. Where have I seen that before? It turned out that
He got screwed over again, so he lost 2 times because he lost an I Quit match against The Rock.
the Brahma Bull had been in the pocket of McMahon this entire time, turning him heel, creating a sympathetic babyface in Foley, and bringing the entire tournament to a perfect crescendo. Whilst the actual match itself was pretty good, you would be hard-pushed to find a bout featuring these two that wasn't, this was all about the story. Deadly Games is regarded as one of the best tournaments WWE have ever done, as well as being a career highlight for one Vince Russo. Although, let's be honest, there's not that much competition there, is there? Number 6, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam. If you were a fan of AC/DC in 1998, then you were in for a treat, as the theme tune and tagline for that year's SummerSlam was Highway to Hell. The main was between The Undertaker and defending world champion Stone Cold, but there was also the small question of the Big Red Machine. It was unclear whether or not Kane was working with his brother or against him, which added a sense of intrigue to a match that already sounded pretty damn great on paper. Considering how popular they both were, Austin and Taker could have...
Well, yeah, their rivalry goes back. They had triple threat matches, tag team matches, all types of different matches. Even, like I said, Kane was involved with their rivalry, I think, at one point.
Sat in the ring and played chess for an hour and still got uncheered. Thankfully, though, they decided to wrestle instead, which certainly makes my life easier, and they done wrestled good, despite Austin suffering a concussion early on. Taker's size and power was counteracted by Stone Cold's intensity and determination, as they traded big moves and near falls for over 20 minutes. Sure enough, Kane did come down to ringside, but in the end, he simply watched on as Austin pinned his bro with a stunner. Austin and Taker had just had a great match, and the mystery of the
So Stone Cold got the win. Oh, speaking of Kane, here he is.
Demon continued to fascinate. A job well done, I reckon. Number 5, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Dude Love at Unforgiven in Your House. For his first pay-per-view defense as the new WWE champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin was put into a match against a dancing hippie? Surely this can't be right. Dude Love, one of the 3 faces of Foley, might not have seemed like an especially sinister challenge, but he did have the backing of a much scarier being behind him, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. This was the first time that Mr. McMahon properly stuck...
What's your favorite Mick Foley persona? Dude Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, which one?
his nose into Austin's business as the chairman and his stooges rocked up to the ring during Stone Cold's title match at Unforgiven in Your House. Vince's involvement certainly grabbed all the headlines, but even without him, this was a stellar main event. Austin and Foley wrestled at 100 miles an hour, kicking the ever-loving snot out of each other in increasingly creative ways. McMahon's constant distractions led to several tight situations for the Texas Rattlesnake, but he always found a way to get back on top. We might have placed this one higher had it had, an actual finish, but Austin got DQ'd after a big schmoz ending. But hey, this was the Attitude Era. DQs were as common as oxygen around this time, and everything before then was groovy, baby. Number 4, Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. There was so...
Yup, WrestleMania 14, like I said, I had this on DVD. Good match. I've seen this. This match, I do know. I've seen this plenty of times. The finish, the Stone Cold Stunner finish, the celebration, Mike Tyson turning on Shawn Michaels, giving him the punch. Didn't he punch? I don't know. But it was a good match.
In many ways, that the main event of WrestleMania 14 could have gone horribly wrong. WWE Champion Shawn Michaels had seriously messed up his back at the Royal Rumble, an injury that would eventually lead to him taking 4 years away from the ring. There was also the small matter of HBK's personality, which was, shall we say, difficult at this time? Rumour has it that Undertaker had to subtly threaten Michaels to do business at Mania. That's how close he was to going off script. It all worked out in the end, though, as Shawn was healthy enough to have his title defense against Royal Rumble winner Stone Cold, and since even an injured Shawn Michaels is still Shawn Michaels, it was really good. The two had worked together a bunch previously, which meant that they were adequately clued into each other's in-ring styles. Austin's brawling and HBK's flashiness went hand in hand perfectly, as demonstrated with the beautiful closing sequence that ended with Austin stunning Michaels to win his first ever world title. There was, of course, also the added attraction of Mike Tyson at ringside, which generated plenty of mainstream buzz and an extra air of excitement to proceedings. Number 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin vs Dude Love at Over the Edge in Your House. If you liked the Austin vs Foley match from Unforgiven, then you better hold on to your socks because they're about to get blown off by the sequel. At Over the Edge in Your House, Vince McMahon didn't just stack the deck against Stone Cold, he replaced the deck with a brick and then lobbed it at his head. Stooges Patterson and Briscoe were made ring announcer and timekeeper respectively, and Vinnie Mac himself was inserted as the special guest referee. Even with a litany of obstacles in his way, Austin bravely fought back against Dude Love, coming close to victory a number of times before the Proto Corporation stopped him, sometimes by changing the rules of the match itself. All the Austin Foley chemistry from the previous match was still here, by the way, just in case you were worried it would get drowned out. In the end, it took The Undertaker's intervention to help overcome the odds, as Austin manipulated McMahon's unconscious body to count the 3 and retain after one hell of a war. If you like your wrestling big, silly, and with a ludicrous amount of interference, then this is probably your favourite match. Number 2, The Rock vs Triple H at SummerSlam. For just the 3rd time in televised WWE history, sorry Bret Hart, your ones don't count, 2 men went to war in a ladder match. The gladiators in question were reigning Intercontinental Champion The Rock and babyface challenger Triple H, both of whom were heads of their own respective factions. The Nation of Domination versus D-Generation X feud had been a great part of 1998 if you discount the blackface, and at SummerSlam it would finally reach its peak. Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon had set quite the standard, but these youngsters were not put off by the pressure. They fought a fantastically tense match that swung on a pendulum and featured as much non-ladder wrestling as it did tricks with the hardware. That's not to say there weren't plenty of tasty bumps, including several instances of wrestlers falling off ladders in
2 purple attires? That's nice.
to the cold, unforgiving canvas. Trips was able to drag down the belt after using his extra special finisher, a punch in the balls from China, as fans and pundits started to realise that these two might just be pretty good at this whole wrestling thing. Shame we never heard from either of them again. Number 1, The Undertaker versus Mankind at King of the Ring.
Grandma, you want me to change the temperature up there?
No, that's okay.
The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels set the bar pretty high with the inaugural Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood 1997. At the 1998 King of the Ring pay-per-view, The Undertaker and Mankind saw how high that bar was and decided to raise it further still, to the point that it got high enough for Mick Foley to take 2 massive bumps off it. This match, one of the most famous in wrestling history, is obviously best remembered for the Hardcore Legends tumbles off.
This is the match where he got injured and still wrestled and came back. He broke his back, his ear. He got thrown off this Hell in a Cell. I remember this.
The side of and through the top of the cell itself. Those visuals will live on the highlight reel for eternity. And
He didn't break his ear. I think he broke his neck, and he still came back though. The same match and finished it.
forever burned into our brains with extra thanks to good old JR's iconic calls. But what people tend to forget sometimes is that the insanity didn't stop there, and the 2 wounded men, Taker with a knackered ankle, Foley with a knackered, well, everything, continue to wrestle and absorb plenty more punishment in one of the damnedest sights a WWE ring has ever seen. It still retains its power over a quarter of a century later, and was far and away the most memorable thing during a very memorable year for WWE.
Hold on.
Booking.com has all.
In the story of the Monday Night Wars, 1998 marks the
No. that was 10 best WWE matches of 1998. Tell me what you guys want to see next in the comments down below. I got more videos coming. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment. Yeah, Uriah out.